Hello, hello, hello. Close up. I'm Dr. E, and hopefully by this point in time you've already met me in class, or you have viewed the introductory video that I did, and so we should be acquainted by now. And even though it's kind of dark in this room, I've got my sunglasses on. And so you might be asking yourself, why is Dr. E wearing his sunglasses? And the reason is because I am the coolest professor at Harding University. In fact, I am without a doubt the coolest professor you will ever have. And so when you get tired of listening to me tell you some of the most interesting material that you will ever learn, you remember about Dr. E with his sunglasses on and how cool I am and how privileged and fortunate, and as we say in the church, how blessed you are to have me as your professor for this particular course, Investments, something that, as you know, if you watch the introductory video or if you've met me in class, you know that I know a little bit, just a little bit, about 35 years worth of a little bit about this topic of investments. So I'm going to take you through this investments course step by step, and you will be an expert to the point that you will be able to charge people enormous sums of money by the time we finish this course in order for them to get the benefit of what you've learned from me, Dr. E, the coolest professor in the universe. All right, with that little introduction out of the way, let us begin our journey in the investments class. So, come on now. Is this thing going to work? There we go. So the first question you have to ask yourself after you've asked yourself the question of what am I doing working with this madman is, why should I be interested in this investments course? Well, my first response is because it's a requirement to get your finance degree or your finance degree. Finance, however you want to say it. All right, come on, this thing's not working so great. Here we go, let's get this thing working. All right, so if you've come this far in college, you're probably a junior, maybe a senior. You need to be thinking about a job once you get out of college. Unless you're on the 10-year plan. Hopefully for your parents you're not on the 10-year plan. Hopefully for the American taxpayer you're not on the 10-year plan taking out loans for 10 years that you're never going to be able to repay. So you're thinking about getting out of college and getting a job, and there are fantastic careers in the financial services area. Oh, is this thing going to be a pain? Okay, so the types of companies that hire students, former students, prospective employees who have a knowledge of investments includes, come on now, accounting firms. That's right, accounting firms have moved into the investment business. And I can't put up with this. Law firms. Law firms need expert witnesses. They need expertise when it comes to investments to help their clients out. Let's see if I can there's another clicker here. Let's see if that will work any better than this sorry piece of equipment here. Let's see if I can get this thing plugged in and going here. Is it going to do it? Y'all bear with me. There we go. It's clanging on me. Let's see. There we go. So, commercial banks, lots of opportunities at commercial banks for people who have investment experience. Insurance companies hire financial planners, investment people. So you've heard of there are lots of insurance companies out there, and they're all looking for people with investment background. Financial planning companies, money management firms. There's a difference between what these types of firms do, and we'll talk about in more detail. We'll talk about all of these types of firms as we go through this course. You're going to learn more about what these firms do and opportunities that are there for you. I'm going to check the video real quick, make sure that, yes, everything looks good. Okay, and then real estate companies, and lots of opportunities in real estate. I have found in my life that boy, if you got in on the ground floor in a market that becomes hot, let's say markets in Florida, markets in Texas, markets in Tennessee, can you say Nashville, one of the hottest markets around? If the key is to get in before it's moved along too far, and then bide your time, buy that property for $100,000 and sell that property for $1 million 7 or 8 years later. And so there are lots of opportunities in real estate. All right, you're going to need to know enough about investments to oversee your own money. You're going to have some of the first decisions you're going to have to make have to do with your employee benefits and have to do with your 401k or your 403b or your 457 plan. And we'll look at all of these plans as we go through the course. These are retirement plans, depending on whether you're working in the private sector, whether you're working for a university or a hospital, or whether you're working in the government sector. That's what these 3 plans address. Or your personal account, which is not a retirement plan, but just as an account you set up. You're going to need to know about investments in order to handle your assets, your investments in these types of accounts. Possibly the money of people you care about. You are going to be amazed at how many people really don't have a clue about how to invest their money, and they either try to do it on their own, which they do a very poor job of, and I'll show you some statistics that will shock you. In fact, let me throw this statistic out. The average rate of return in the stock market year in and year out is about 9% a year. Guess what the average rate of return is annually for the average investor? Well, it's somewhere between 1.5% and 2% a year. And you say, well, that's not such a big deal, 1.5% to 2% versus 9%. That is the difference between retiring at age 55 with a couple $1 million in the bank, or retiring at age 70 with less than $1 million in the bank. That's the difference between eating filet mignon and eating Alpo. Okay, so that 5 or 6% difference makes all the difference in the world. So it's important for you to understand how to handle your own money. Maybe your parents. Oh, my dad is brilliant. He's a chemical engineer. What does he know about investing? Has he taken courses in investing? Probably not. He had to take all those courses in chemical engineering. Or your mom. Your mom is a nurse. Your mom is a physician. Oh, she's brilliant. But has she taken courses in investments? Maybe they need your help. Maybe your siblings need your help. Maybe your grandparents. Maybe your grandfather took care of all of the investing. He died, and your grandmother has her money out there, and she's got $600,000 and it's sitting in a CD earning 2%. Okay? Maybe you could do a lot better for grandma without taking a whole lot of risk. Okay? You're going to learn about how to handle these things in this course. You'll need to keep up with your own, with what your investment professionals are doing for you. At some point, hopefully you will become so successful that you'll need to hire me. Yes, I have been hired by several former Harding students. I talked with one today. He's 34 years old, married, 2 kids. He's got a $300,000 house in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, no mortgage, paid it off. He's got 2 cars, paid it off, and he's got a net worth of $1,100,000, all self-made. His parents didn't give him a dime. He works for a company that sells human resource software. He was a business major, a B student, not afraid to get out of his comfort zone, not afraid to get out there and ask for the business, and he's making a lot of money. He saved a lot of money. Hopefully that will be you in 15 or 20 years. We'll see. All right. You need to understand what the major issues are as you manage investments in portfolios so you can keep your service providers honest. Let me tell you something. You hire me, you're not going to have to worry about me being honest, because I'll be honest, but I'm not going to be around forever. Okay? At some point, I'm going to get so old I won't be able to do this. You have got to know what the issues are. Look at all those professional athletes that made multiple millions of dollars. The other night, Manny Pacquiao, who they didn't even say how much money he's made. He's probably made $300 million, $400 million. He's broke. How many times have we heard these stories about athletes making $20 to $300 million and they're broke. They're bankrupt because they were taken to the cleaners by dishonest service providers, and they were given bad advice. And you don't want that to happen to you. All right. So with that background, let's go into Chapter 1. And Chapter 1 is a foundation course, okay, foundation chapter for the rest of the course. And so we're going to cover a wide variety of topics in kind of a superficial way in Chapter 1, and then we will drill deeper into each topic later on in the semester. All right, so let's define investing. And we start by taking a step back from investing, and we start with saving. Something that Americans don't do very well. You know, you've got to have that nice house, and you've got to have that nice car, because people will think that you are a loser if you don't have that nice house and that nice car. And you are willing to sacrifice your future. Most Americans are. Most Americans live in a nice house and drive nice cars, and they have about 10% of what they need to retire. They are not saving money. They are leveraged up to their eyeballs trying to keep up with the Joneses. Well, your former student, the former student who has over $1 million, he's making between $300,000 and $400,000 a year, and it costs him $4,000 a month to live. He's paid his house, he's paid his cars, and that $4,000 insurance and a few other things, but he is saving his money. He could be living in a $750,000 house. He could be driving two $60,000 automobiles. He is not doing that. Neither should you. All right, saving. If income is greater than consumption, you make more than you consume, and I hope that is the case with you, then the residual, what's left over, is called saving. Okay? Saving should be the deliberate act. It's not an accident, it's something you plan for. Okay? You know how much you make, you go out and you make your living arrangements so you can have some money left over after you paid your bills, and you divert income and assets away from certain current consumption, okay, for the prospect of uncertain future consumption. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. Therefore, when you're making money, you can't spend all of it. All right? You're gonna have to make some sacrifices, people. Get that in your mind, okay? Be patient. That's what I tell all of you. That's one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you. Be patient. And I've said this I've been teaching for 15 years, and one of the accounting students that graduated and went to work, he was making about $50,000 a year. He loved automobiles, and he disappointed me greatly. He went out and he bought a new Lexus right out of school, and he drove it for 6 months, and then he had to sell it. He couldn't afford it. His wife didn't get a job as quickly as he thought. He couldn't afford it. Please don't make that mistake, okay? Bide your time. Just because you got your 4-year degree doesn't mean you've made it and you're entitled. Okay, so what can you do with your savings? You can bury it in the backyard, but you will earn no return, i.e. interest or appreciation. You won't grow it, okay? Alternatively, you can invest your savings, and investing involves exchanging cash or other assets, but primarily cash, or incurring debt, borrowing, okay, to finance the purchase of assets. That's what an investment is. It's an asset. You buy an asset. Why? To grow it, to get interest, dividends, and capital gain, capital appreciation, growth in the market value of that asset. All right, so who invests? Well, individual investors. What do they open up? Personal accounts. I mentioned that in a couple of slides ago. Personal accounts. They provide no tax shelter. You don't get any tax benefits from a personal account. What is a personal account? Well, you fill out an application with all your personal information, your name, your address, your email address, your cell phone, your social security number, and then there are 4 or 5 boxes that says, what type of account is this? Personal account. Check the box. That's all it is. Personal account. It's like a bank account. You're opening up an account at an investment firm or a mutual fund company or insurance company, and you check the box, it's a personal account, you send them money, they put it in your account just like a bank account, okay? People invest their savings, what's a personal account? It's when you invest your savings outside of your retirement plans. Oh, I'm saving and investing, I'm putting everything in my 401k. Well, once you max out your 401k, that doesn't mean that's all you have, okay? Your IRA or your college savings plans, you are investing outside of that. Many firms call a personal account a cash account. I'm not sure why they do that because it's misleading. It's not cash. It is a personal account, sometimes called a cash account. All right. Then we have retirement plans. Retirement plans. 401ks if you're in the private sector, 403bs if you work for a charitable or nonprofit organization, 457 if you work for the government, and traditional IRAs. IRAs. The purposes of these plans are to enable individuals to defer W-2 income. What is W-2 income? When you get a paycheck, that is W-2 income. W-2 is a form that your employer gives you. They report your income to the IRS, and you have to as well. So what does defer mean? To put off. Okay, so if you make $50,000 a year and you defer, you decide to put $10,000 of the $50,000 into a retirement plan. That means that the only taxes that are recorded for you are the only income, $40,000, not $50,000. The $10,000 that you put into your plan is excluded from income. You don't pay income taxes on it. You do pay payroll taxes on it, unfortunately. All right, this means participants don't pay income taxes on the amount that is deferred. That is a very powerful thing. If you're in the 25 or 30% tax bracket, you're getting a 25 or 30% break right there on what you save. The amount that is deferred is invested, okay? So what is an IRA or retirement plan? It is a box that says what type of account is this? 401k, check on the box, okay? And there's paperwork that's involved with it, and that means you can defer income into it, and that means that the investments that go in there earn interest, dividends, and capital appreciation, and you don't pay taxes on the interest, dividends, or capital gains. So you deduct or exclude that income from taxes, and then your investments grow without paying any taxes. Okay, remember, if you buy a stock and you get a dividend, you have to declare the income, that dividend, as income, and you have to pay taxes on it, unless you put it into a tax-deferred account. If you buy the stock for 10 and sell it for 15, that's a $5 gain, you've got to pay capital gains taxes on that, unless you put it into a tax-deferred account. All right. So these plans, basically, they're ways to force people to save and invest for retirement. That's why we have these plans. Give people a reason to save and invest. Plan sponsors, who are employers, they're called plan sponsors, often contribute in order to entice employees to save and invest. So most of you, when you go to work, you'll go to HR and they'll describe for you your compensation package. It's your pay, it's your insurance, and it is your retirement plan. And if it's a 401k plan, and we'll dig deeper into 401k plans, they'll say, listen, you can put up to 10% of your income, you can defer that into the plan, and our company will match you dollar for dollar on the first 5%, and then for the second 5%, we'll pay 50 cents on the dollar. Well, let me ask you something. If you put $1 into your 401k plan and your employer matches that with $1, what's your rate of return? If you said 100%, you're exactly right. If you put $1 in and your employer puts 50 cents in, what is your rate of return? If you said 50%, you're exactly right. The best investment you will ever make. So you don't turn your back and avoid the 401k or the 457 or the 403b in order to buy that new Lexus. Don't do it. It's a huge mistake. All right. There are downsides to these plans, and one, once you put your money in, a little more difficult to access your money, okay? Two, your investment choices may be a little bit more limited. This used to be more of a problem than it is today. Now your investment choices are pretty wide open. And let me say, more difficult to access your money. If you put money in, tax deferred, if you take money out, you will pay taxes, income taxes on that money, and you'll pay a 10% penalty. Now some people act like, oh, I can't ever get that money because I'll have to pay a 10% penalty. Big deal. It's a 10% tax. If you've got to get your money, and there are ways you can get your money without paying the penalty. Okay, you'll still pay taxes. There are hardship, first home, medical care, education, things like that, where you can take money out and not pay the 10% penalty. All right, but don't act like that 10% prevents you from taking money out. It does not. Okay, so if you do take, also watch out for fees and expenses in these plans. They can be kind of high sometimes, so you need to ask that question. What are the fees and expenses associated with the plan? Again, as I said, you're going to pay taxes on all that you take out, and if you take out money before you reach age 59 and a half, you'll pay a 10% penalty except certain types of expenses like college, first home, medical expenses, and you can talk with HR and they'll tell you about it. Okay, we have reached the end, according to my schedule here, we have reached the end of clip 1, and so you need to check Canvas for your homework. You're going to have some homework that will reinforce these concepts, and we'll go over that homework in class. And so I'm going to sign off now, and then we'll start clip 2, which will be slides 9 through 14. Peace. Shalom.